online. Welcome to the Strongman Club, a club that is here to educate our men on how to become the best version of yourself, to become great men, especially us, what we call so called black men, but are known as the Israelites. So we are a Israelite community. So we want to give all praises and honor to our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, for allowing us to come together on that day and that specific time to elevate our brothers in the spirit of truth and understanding. So today our topic will go into effective communication. So I don't know who's able to read for us. That would be very helpful. Who's among your brothers may read and have the time, or is in an area you can read right now? Anyone? Can anyone read?
I'll do a little bit, not too much.
Okay, come. Appreciate it. All right, so effective communication. So now, this lesson will not go into how to speak. When we think of communication, we think on how to speak and how to be concise and be clear in what we say. But this will rather go into the intent of communication itself. So we know communication at its core allows us to interchange information, but every communication have an intent. There's a reason why it happens. And I think for you to become the best communicator, you need to understand, why is that person talking to me? What is the intent behind that communication? And this is what we will explore today. Not much on how to speak, on how to be concise, on how to be clear, on how to keep your words short and things. Those are all great stuff, but we will go behind that. The intent of communication. If someone approaches you, you need to understand, what is the point? What are they trying to achieve? By the first word they say, you need to be able to catch what is the intent of that communication. And also we'll go into a little bit of still the intent, but which help you understand, why is someone arguing, what is the point of the argument, and why is that problem cannot find a solution type. Because this all go into communication. If we arguing and we cannot find a common solution, that means something is going wrong in the side of communication. So thus we will get quickly in our lesson, and today we will read 1 Kings 2 verse 2. 1 Kings 2 verse 2 is one of the core verse we use in the club. It's our motivation verse. 1 Kings 2 and 2. Chief Nopash, if you able.
We'll read the book of First Kings, chapter 2, verse 2. Give me 1 second. Book of First Kings, chapter 2, verse 2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
Right. So David told his son, I go all over the world. The most important thing is to show yourself to be a man. So what does that mean, to be a man? That means to be courageous, right? In the understanding of David, being a man was always associated with a courageous man, a man that have what we call capabilities, capacity, a man of understanding and wisdom, right? That's what a strong man actually means. So today, when we in the club, in SMC club, we actually helping men to become men, more courageous, more capable, right? You're not a man if you're not capable. You're not a man if you're not wise, if you can't do great things, right? If you're always fearful, that's not what being a man is. As we know, the mission of the Most High in Genesis 1 was for men to dominate. So how can you dominate when you are weak? How can you dominate when you are unbalanced as a man? So today we'll talk about communication, effective communication. But as we said, we will not go into how to talk. We'll go into the intent itself of communication. So today we'll talk about, first, there's two reasons why. There's only two reasons why people communicate. Two reasons why. And those reasons are needs and right. Needs and right. Meaning the person is looking for a need to be filled, or they feel like their right is being violated, or they need their right to be established. So remember that. Needs and rights. So every act of conflict, for example, most communication, if we have a conflict, for a good example, whether personal, social, or geopolitical, emerges from the pursuit of need or the defense of a right, real or perceived. Sometimes the need is real, sometimes it is perceived. Perceived means it's in your own opinion you need this, right? Or in your own opinion you need that right, but some other people may not share that same viewpoint with you. So what does that mean, a need? When someone approaches you, it's most likely they need something from you, okay? Or they will claim a right from you. So, and that's very important for us to understand in a house. Most communication will occur because a need has to be fulfilled, or a right have been violated, or a right is needed to be given. It's a need for that right to be exercised, right? So that being said, us as men, if we're in the house, we must understand those two key points, needs and right. So when we talk about a need, it's any internal or external condition that a person or groups feel compelled to fulfill. So any internal or external condition that a person or group feels compelled to fulfill. This includes not only physical survival needs, so people have those needs, food, water, safety, but also emotional, psychological, social, or even ego-based desires. Is a good example of ego-based: respect, belonging, power, recognition, and revenge. So everything falls under needs. So in your house as a man, or in your organization, or in the society, whenever you're talking to somebody, the first question that needs to pop up: what does that person need from me? So this is very important. Let's say if you have a talk with your wife, right, and she doesn't agree on certain things. The first question is not to dismiss her. The first thing you need to be able to identify: what is the need? What does she want from me? I want to repeat that again. When there's an argument somewhere, the first thing as a man, as a good communicator, you need to identify is: what does that person want? Maybe they want food, right? Maybe they want, as we call them, the physical survival needs: food, water, safety. Or maybe they need an emotional need. Maybe they need a psychological or social, or even sometimes is their ego they want they want to feel good. That's an ego, right? So why is this important? Let's say if your wife approaches you about something, you need to identify right away. Maybe it's an emotional need. What is an emotional need? So let me give you a couple of examples. A nation that fight for access to clean water, they have physical need, right? A person lashes out after humiliation, it's an emotional need. A leader wage war to assert domination, dominance. It's an egoic, or egos, they call that ego-based need, or it's a psychological need. So we need to understand the difference. So survival is just you need food, water, and things. Emotional needs. Let's say your wife is complaining, man. I need affection, and sometimes it's not direct, but you need to be able to identify what kind of need is this. Is this an emotional need that my wife feels certain way? Because that's very important. Before you speak, the minute the person is opening their mouth, you need to not thinking about, hey, what I'm gonna say next. You need to be able to identify what am I dealing with. That's the most important thing about communication. Is the intent. Is that person asking me for survival needs, which are basic, safety? Is that person asking me about emotional comfort? Is it an ego-based desire, meaning they want to feel good, or they want power, recognition? Sometimes people need recognition. It's an ego-based desire. It's not because it's an ego, it's an evil thing. Let's say if your wife have been doing a great job, but you never give her flowers or you never say thank you. That's an ego-based need, which fall under recognition. So you need to be able to identify. Oh yeah, it's fine. All men have ego. Ego is part of men or women. But you need to be able to identify. Okay, so that person, the way they're talking, they need recognition. So the minute you're able to identify the need, guess what? You're already ahead of the game. Now you can respond appropriately. Now you can actually truly understand what the person is after. Now, brothers, this is very important. Again, every conversation based on two things: needs and rights. So right now we're talking about needs. We got survival needs, we have emotional needs, we have psychological needs, we have social needs, we got ego-based needs, right? Ego-based needs fall under respect. When I need respect, is an ego because I feel my ego is touched. When I need you to not touch my belonging, that's my ego. Power, ego. Recognition, ego. Revenge. Even a need for revenge, it's also a need, because sometimes somebody's talking to you, you can tell that they're here for revenge. They're not really here for a thing, but they're here for revenge. You need to be able to identify those things right off the bat. The minute they start talking, you need to be, okay, that person's after power. They're after recognition. They're after revenge. Very important. Okay, rights. So the second thing people look for in general, it's rights, and everything all other things fall under that. A right is a belief or a principle about what one is entitled to, right? Whether legally, morally, culturally, or spiritually, conflicts arise when individual or groups perceive that their rights are denied, threatened, or disrespected. So if a person feel like their rights is denied, threatened, or disrespected, then we're gonna have a talk about it. So when somebody approach you, you need to understand, are they talking about you step on their toe, on what's rightfully theirs? Sometimes it's perceived, sometimes it's real. Perceive again means, in their own opinion, my right is being violated, right? Real means there's an actual written paper that say that's their right. Or maybe it's a natural right, like the right to live. That's a natural right. It's not written nowhere, but it's your right to live. It's your right to speak. Those are God-given rights that are in nature and that we all understand. Okay, so let's say if your wife approaches you, and whenever she approaches you, you don't want to listen. So she may come to you and be like, I feel like I'm not being heard. So now that's a right being violated. She feel like you're not listening. She just don't have the right to speak to you. So a right is being violated. So we need to understand those things. So when somebody approaches you, are they talking about a right or a need? A need is what they seems to want, right? And a right is something that's legal or morally or culturally or spiritually. We need to understand that. Sometimes as men, let's say some people have their culture, they can protest because you desecrate their culture. It's important to understand that. Okay? And if we can understand those things right off the bat when somebody's talking to you, then you'll be able to clearly understand what they're asking and what they're after. Okay, so let's take some different type of rights. Let's say civil rights. Protesters demand freedom of speech, or let's say your wife asks you to allow her to speak, or she feel like whenever she speak, you want her to shut up. Let's say, put it that way, or want her to be quiet. That would call a civil right in the United States. An ethnic group resists assimilation. Let's say a group of people don't want to become one with a system. That would call a cultural right. So let's say these people got their own culture. You're trying to force them into another culture. Then that's a cultural right. A worker strikes for fair pay. That's an economic right. So there's different type of right. But we need to understand communication in general. In conflicts, we know conflicts rise from communication. They go hand in hand, and they come from needs and rights. It's very important. Okay, so now there's now one thing we need to understand. So let's say you're talking to someone or you're arguing with somebody. So this is where we will touch on a little bit. We'll touch a little bit on conflicts and stuff like that. So you may wonder, why is I can't get through to somebody? Why is I'm communicating to that person but they don't seem to understand what I'm saying to them? There's a reason for that. Let me Chief, if I could get a verse right quick. Let's go to Proverbs right quick. Get me Proverbs 16 verse 2. Proverbs 16.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 2.
Go ahead.
All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Most High weigh the spirits.
Right. So all the ways of a man is right in his own eyes. So the truth is, everybody's kind of right in their own eyes. So this is why we need the Most High. This is why we have the Bible. Okay, because if it's not for the scripture as men or the Most High, your wife would tell you that's how she feel and that's how she feel. You tell that's how I feel and that's how I feel. So that's why we have the Bible. But we need to understand first, why is it that men think everything should be is right in their own eyes? Well, there's a couple of reasons, and this is for you to understand how communication works in the end. Because the scripture says every man is right in his own eyes, but the Most High ponder the heart, right? Or as the scripture say, let me see. Not ponder, but he said the Most High with the spirit. The Most High is the one that with your spirit, that know your weight and how strong and powerful you are truly, right? So there's something we need to understand. Okay, right? There's something we really need to understand as men. There's 4 reasons why people cannot seem to understand each other in communication. 4 reasons why. 4. I want you guys to write them down. Number 1 is pride. Number 2 is self-interest. Number 3 is vengeance. Number 4 is cultural differences. Everything else fall under these things: pride, self-interest, vengeance, cultural differences. 4 reasons why people cannot seem to understand you. Sometimes it's not because you don't speak good English. It's not because you don't put your word in a very concise and clear way. But what I'm talking about is communication that goes way deeper than what is said. It's what's in the mind, what's going on inside of people's mind. Once you understand what's in people's mind, then you can find a good solution on how to speak. Because it really doesn't, because as the Most High say, people's right in their own eyes, but the Most High with the Spirit. Because it's the Spirit that really matters. It's the weight of the Spirit that matters. It's not really what is said. Someone can say something, but if you with the Spirit, if you understand what's going on in the mindset, now you can really fix the situation, right? So it's not much about what is said, it's much about what's in the mind. So that's what the Most High is trying to tell you in that verse.
Adding to what you just said, if you look at Esau, like in the police and the FBI, they study body language, and they'll tell you sometimes what the person is saying and what their body is doing is not the same thing. And they would know by looking at the person's body that the person is lying, he's telling you something completely different. So the body language itself will speak. But when the Most High is referring to looking at the spirit of the person, the way the body acts also is telling you there's something deeper that's going on in the mind,
right?
And then in the spirit. So you can see through the body, you can see the way they react, the way they stutter, maybe a little gesture or a little move, something will tell you that what they're saying is not what it really is.
Right? But we're going deep into the spirit, because this, as the chief mentioned, the spirit causes you to have what we call body language. Even though you're saying something, your body will react differently. But what I'm gonna go into today, now we just went over needs and right. So when somebody approach you, you can forget all what they're saying. They're saying a bunch of stuff, but try to remember those 2 things. What do they? So the first question you're gonna ask yourself when your wife approach you and she's blah 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 blah, the first question you need to ask: what does she want from me? So once you ask that, then you can even write down and be like, okay, so you want me to be more, affectionate. Okay, let me write that down. So you need me to help with the chores. Okay, I write that down. So you see, the minute you start understand she needs something, then you start writing down. This is where we come to understanding the person. This is where true communication comes from. It's for you to understand what they need. So their need, you write down their needs. Okay, so according to what you're saying, you need this. You feel like I haven't been doing this. That's an emotional need. You see? You feel like I haven't been recognizing you for your effort. Then let me write that down. So this is where true communication comes from. It's for you to right off they start talking, you start identifying what do they need. Or you start identifying what right you feel like they're saying you violating their right. What right do they feel like you're violating? So you need to start asking yourself, did I do something wrong to you? What did I do wrong? Okay? What right do I violate? So once you start summarizing communication in these 2 things, when somebody approaches you, you're good. But the second part is to identify why are they asking for that need or for that right. Why are they asking for that need or for that right? Now, it may be, as I said, some need are perceived, some needs are real. Some right are perceived, some right are real. So sometimes it's pure delusion, sometimes it's real need. Sometimes it's pure delusion, sometimes it's real right. So you need to be able to identify why. What's the intention behind that request? Okay? So now, as I said, there's 4 reasons why people will approach you, right, with their needs and rights. It's number 1 is pride. We got self-interest. We have vengeance. We have cultural differences. Those are the reasons why sometimes even conflicts cannot be solved. Okay? It's based on the person's intent. Let's say if someone approaches you with pride. What is pride? Pride is an inflated view of self that resists correction or humility, refusal to admit wrong, unwillingness to listen or compromise. I'm going to read it again. Pride is an inflated view of self that resists correction or humility, refusal to admit wrong, unwillingness to listen or compromise. So let's say you're communicating with somebody. You need to identify, is it really a need or a right, or is it really pride? Or beyond that need, is it pride? Okay, why is this important? Because if you're dealing with somebody that's coming with pride, remember, pride is an inflated view of self-correct that resists self-correction or humility. So basically, some people you'll talk to, and this is why sometimes you cannot find a solution with your wife when communicating, because the conversation is not honest. The conversation is all about pride. Meaning that conversation is about pride. Meaning I need to show you that I'm greater than you. I need to show you that I'm better than you. Now, when you meet somebody that's talking pride, it's usually three things they'll pull out on you. Number one, they'll tell you the conversation will be based on experience. A good example, the person will say, I've been doing this for 30 years. That's pride, right? Or the person will come about accomplishments, or I have a lot of money, or I have a lot of degrees. A lot of time that's pride. That's pride talking. So when we're dealing with somebody, having an argument with someone that have pride, it's most likely you'll never find a solution, because the situation is not genuine. It's not a true situation. They don't need something really. They just need, that's an that's an ego-based need or desire. They just want to feel good and show off. It's still a need, but it's not the kind of communication that will help in any situation. So you need to identify. If I'm talking to someone, I need to understand, is it pride? Am I dealing with some kind of prideful guy or prideful woman that want to show that they're stronger, they're better than me? If you're dealing with somebody that's pride, trust me, there's no solution. Chief Nopash, read Proverbs 13 verse 10 for me.
All right, let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 10. The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 10. Only by pride come contention, but with the well advised.
Go ahead, read that again. Proverbs 13:10.
Right. The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 10. Only by pride come contention, but with the well advised is wisdom.
Right. Only by pride is contention. Sometimes the conversation or the communication, it's really not a beneficial communication. It's just someone that's trying to feel good. So they're bringing points just to show I'm better than you. Have you ever seen? And this type of behavior, it comes from a person that did not pass the stage of a child. I'm gonna tell you why. Have you ever seen children when they're talking? It's like my dad house is bigger than your dad house. And this one say, my dad house is so big, it can fill a whole city. This one say, my dad house is so big, it can fill the whole heaven. This conversation ain't going nowhere, because it's all about, I'm bigger than you. So once you have a conversation that's based on pride, brother, walk away, because it's not going to go nowhere. Because the person is trying to, it's still a child that's trying to show I'm better than who you are. So thus, where is it gonna go? When you see children doing that kind of stuff, the conversation go on and on and on about how my house is bigger than your house. It's the same thing. That's what a pride conversation look like. It's my house is bigger than your house, right? I'm better than you in knowledge, and that's why some Paul say knowledge puffed up. So sometimes people is just trying to show that I have more knowledge than you. So you need to understand, before you go in a communication with somebody, You need to understand what is that communication is based on. Is it pride? Someone trying to show off. If they're trying to show off, don't be the same as them. Just walk away, because this is not gonna be beneficial to you. Trust me, right? And you need to be able to identify it based on if the person trying to show their accomplishment, if the person is trying to show their experience, or what they have. Or I have a house, I have a degree. I've been, let's say if I say I've been teaching for 30 years, brother, so that means it's pride conversation. I'm just trying to show that I'm better than somebody. So that's one. Number two, when we talk about communication, right off the bat, if someone come with pride, you need to be, hey brother, I notice this, this is about pride, who's better and who's, I'm not about this. And this is why sometimes conversation go on and on and on and on. It can never end. The argument keep going because I'm here trying to show out. This one is out here trying to show out. Cut it out. The second reason why people talk is self-interest, or let's say arguing and they cannot find a solution, especially, or you need to identify when somebody's talking to you. Is self-interest. What is self-interest? It's a desire to protect or promote one's own benefit, often driven by fear, greed, defensiveness, unwilling to share or sacrifice. So, what is self-interest? Self-interest oftentimes is when you're having a conversation with somebody, but all they want is, it's what I want. Let me give you a good example. And those things, they obscure communication. Why? Let's say if you're talking to somebody, right? They're in love with a girl. And you tell them, hey, listen, brother, I think that girl is not good for you. If they're in love, good luck trying to convince them that that girl is not good for them. And this is why I'm saying that, because sometimes the communication is not even worth it. You need to look past the argument and find out what's the intention. Let's say if you tell that brother, hey, listen, that girl is not good for you. And he's like, no, that girl love me and stuff. You know what he does? He puts self-interest before even listening to you. And that's what happened in this society. You can tell a girl or a man, hey, this man or this girl is not good for you. Then they're going to say, no, you just a hater, you just this and that. Some people are not able to put self-interest on their side for reasoning's sake. Meaning, whatever they want, nobody can tell them otherwise. As a man of the Most High, as a man not strong, even if you have your own interest in that argument, you need to be able to put that interest on their side and be like, I need to listen to see if there's a different viewpoint. Let's say if your wife come with something, and you feel like, man, that's not in my interest. You need to be able to man up and be like, you know what? Let me listen anyway. I'll put my self-interest on the side and let me find out what does she really need. Because if you are the kind of guy that be like, man, it's what I want and nothing else, then the argument will never be over. Because the communication is not there in the first place. It doesn't matter how concise you speak, how clear you speak. If the person is defending their own self-interest, there's nothing you can tell them. So as men, we need to not only be able to identify if someone is talking in the name of self-interest, or if you are arguing in the name of self-interest. It's what I want. It's what make me feel good. It's what I'm seeking for. Then I'm not gonna budge. And this is a problem when you're having communication. If the person have that self-interest and not willing to budge, then we got a problem. The communication is simply not there. Let me give you a good example. Let's say if two children have a cookie in their hands. This one is saying, this cookie is mine, this cookie is mine, this cookie is mine, this cookie is mine. Even you as an adult, when you come in between them, you're like, whose cookie is it really? Because they're both fighting for that cookie. But what if two of them had reason and be, you know what, let us share the cookie. So they would share the cookie and problem would be solved. But this is the same problem we have with Ukraine and Russia right now. Everybody's for their own self-interest. Nobody's is looking at the other person's interest either. So that's why the war cannot end, because this one want this and this one want that. Nobody want to compromise, and it's a big problem when you look communication through the eyes of what I need and I don't care about the other person. So now let's get Philippians Act. Let me see where we at. Not the only thing you look for is what benefits you, and you don't look on what benefits other people. So you're the kind of guy that have no empathy, meaning you won't be able to deal with no woman. You won't be able to deal with no social network. You won't be able to deal with nobody, because you're the kind of person that it's what benefit me goes. If it doesn't benefit me, it doesn't go. I don't care what other people say. I don't care what evidence. I don't care what proof. I don't care if the president say, if the Most High God saying himself. If it doesn't benefit me, I ain't with it. So if you got that kind of mindset, it'll be really hard for people to communicate with you. It doesn't matter how much, English word and big words they tell you, but you're the kind of selfish person. So, self-interest obscure communication, good communication, right? So we need to not, as the scripture says, not look on our own thing also, but also be able to look on the things of others. Meaning, let me give you a good example. If your wife come to you and this is, let's give an example. Let's say if you are buying a car, right? Let's say you're buying a car and your wife said, she needs to do her nails. Or let's say your wife says she needs to go to a wedding and she need money to prepare for the wedding. It's going to take quite some money, and you have to buy a car. And you the kind of guy that say, man, I don't care about your wedding. I got to buy a car. So there won't be no communication. You're going to blow everything up because all you see is your car. You don't see your wife. You don't see a way to share. As I said, those two kids with the cookies. It's mine, is mine, is mine. It's my interest, is my interest. So how can we have communication when nobody's looking for each other's interest? So as a man, you need to be able to be like, okay, you're going to a wedding and I need to buy a car. So what can we do? Let's find a solution. So I understand you need to go to a wedding, how much it's going to cost. You need to also look into what she's doing. So if you're the kind of selfish person, whatever you want goes, then you're going to have big problem in communication. And things will not go your way at all, because you have to think, when you're having those battle of self-interest, you need to ask yourself, does my self-interest worth the outcome of me holding on to it? Let's say, what do I mean by that? Let's say you say, man, I'm not gonna buy you that car. I don't care about your wedding. What if your wife leaves you now? Is it worth your car to lose your wife by holding on to your self-interest? Is it worth it? So you need to be mindful. What am I defending? Is it worth it in the side of men, in the side of the Most High? What am I standing for? Is it worth it? So if it's not worth it, it's better not to defend that self-interest. So, and that's big part of communication. When you meet somebody, they're talking, you need to understand if they're after their own self-interest. And as I say, how will you know they're after their own self-interest? They're telling you things like that, their accomplishment, what they want, what they experience. Oh no, those are pride. Self-interest usually, give me a second. Self-interest usually go into right, on what they want. So on what they want, it's what they need, and what they think is the best, So oftentimes, people that do self-interest, it's all about me, what I want, what I need. I don't care about, a lot of people, unfortunately, are like that. You'll meet men that are like that. You'll meet women that are like that. When they're talking, it's about me, me, me. What about me? What about me? So a lot of time, conversation is full of self-interest. And the minute you see self-interest, you know there'll be no good communication, and you know things is not gonna be solved because it's one-sided. That person want me, me, me. They don't care about you, 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 and what we want. It's all me, 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 me. That's self-interest. Now, the next thing we need to understand, we have two more points. We're not gonna stay too long tonight. The next thing we need to understand about communication, to be able to identify if the communication is gonna go left, right? We had pride, we have self-interest, and the next one we have vengeance. Sometimes the communication is not at all about something the person needs that's true or they really need it. It's all about vengeance. They're coming to that table not to find a solution. That's what I mean. They're not communicating to find a solution, but they're communicating to avenge themselves of something. So they feel like they have to say something to make you feel bad. How do you connect the dot when somebody is talking based on revenge? If someone start mentioning all things they did for you, all things that happened, how you did them wrong, a lot of time that sign the conversation is all about vengeance. So if the conversation is full of vengeance, it's not gonna go nowhere either. It's not a productive conversation because all the person want is vengeance. Let's say if you have a friend and you brought some piece of scientific evidence something happened, but that friend go back and look for more evidence, right? So it's not that people can't look for more evidence, but sometimes what drive the person is the vengeance. It's not because they want to learn. It's like, I need to look more to avenge because you make me look bad. Now I'm going to make you look bad too. Or some things of that sort. Sometimes it's in your own household with your wife. The conversation is not about, hey, let's find a solution. It's more about, I need to show that I'm right. Or you did something to me, I need to do something to you too. So those things obscure communication. Those are intent behind communication, and you need to be able to spot it. The minute someone is talking, is it pride, is it self-interest, is it vengeance? Get me Romans 12 and 19, Chief, if you can.
Pull out the verse again.
The book of Romans 12 verse 19. You here?
Sorry, I was just reading the whole thing, but I was muted. Romans chapter 12, verse 19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Most High.
Right, so the Most High will repay, but a lot of time conversations are based on repayment. So how do you know someone is talking just to avenge? Number one, they're bringing up unrelated past issues. Let's say if you're talking to somebody and they bring something unrelated that happened, that has nothing to do with the subject, they're out for blood. They're not. This conversation is not at all. This communication right there is not at all about finding a solution. They're here to avenge. Let's say you having a debate with somebody or with your wife, and all of a sudden the thing turned from a normal conversation to personal attacks. So the person start attacking your character, your intelligence, or your worth. So if they start attacking your character, instead of dealing with the issue, a lot of time they're taking the advantage of that argument to attack you because they had grudges out of their heart. Right? So they're taking that occasion to attack you, your person. So those are called, like you can be talking about, let's say we're talking about cars, and all of a sudden the person switch from cars to making slick comment and remark, and things got heated, but now they want to switch from cars to you being stupid, you don't know anything. So a lot of time, they are grudging themselves. Sometimes some the next thing is they try to belittle your feelings or position, or they're mocking you, eye rolling or sarcasm. They're seeking an audience. Sometimes the person wanna seek audience that they may try to publicly shame or humiliate you rather than solve things privately. Sometimes they're looking for other people to bring on board to show that you're stupid. So a lot of time is vengeance motivated. A lot of time they have a lack of interest in the resolution. Their goal is not to fix the problem, but to make you feel what they felt or worse. Sometimes it's just, they want you to feel bad. Sometimes excessive punishment or retribution, meaning their words or action feel more like a payback than communication. Sometimes what they're saying to you is not really communication. They just wanna beat you up with their words. You need to be able to know those things. Even somebody, before you engage in communication with somebody, you need to understand what is the motive factor behind their own what they're talking about. So we need to understand that. And last thing, guys, to pick up when somebody's talking to you or that could cause problem when communicating is cultural differences. Meaning differences in background, belief, or custom can cause misunderstanding. There can become stumbling block when people refuse to learn or empathize. Healing require humility and cross-cultural grace. So sometimes if you're talking, let's say if, some people are Judah and some people are Levite, some people are Issachar, there might be misunderstanding in how we perceive certain things. So this is where humility needs to happen to understand, hey, it's a different culture, their food may be different, and the way you joke about their food can be offensive. So don't be like, man, I just joke about that food, man. I don't see that offensive. Yeah, to you it's not offensive, but to them it is offensive. And these are things we need to be mindful in communication, the cultural differences. And if you are with a wife that's a different nation than you need to also know, try to understand their culture. Their culture may be the reason why communication cannot happen because they are kind of different in how they view things, right? And so that means you need to listen, not approach with pride, nor revenge, nor things like that to fully understand the person. So what did we talk about tonight in summarization? Summarization, people talk for two things, needs and rights. When people talk is because they need something, or they feel like they're right. There's some kind of injustice and they need to address it, right? In general. So what are 4 things that get in the way of communication? It's pride, when somebody have an inflated view of self, they don't want to correct, and having humility. Self-interest, meaning the person, it's all about its own benefit. Vengeance, meaning the person is just retaliating. And last is cultural differences, meaning the person is just don't want to accept nobody else's worldview or doesn't want to respect people's differences in culture and background. So get me Corinthians 9 verse 22 and we're going to wrap up with this, especially with cultural differences.
Let's get the book of what? 1 Corinthians 9?
1 Corinthians 9:22.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. The weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I have made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some.
Right. So this is not Paul saying I become wicked. He's just saying I try to assimilate myself and understand other people's culture because remember Paul was teaching Israelites that were among the Corinthians, among the Romans. So Paul had to try to adapt to different culture just to be able to understand them, right? And this is the same thing. If you cultural differences can get in the way of communication, and you can realize things cannot be solved. Good communication can happen. Why? Because well, there's a cultural difference, and you're not willing to bend to actually find each other. So, guys, what we're trying to teach you tonight is to be able to read intent. It's not much about speaking; it's much about the intent behind the communication. Is it a need and a want? So when someone talk to you, two things: do they need something from me, or are they claiming a right that I violate? Did I do something wrong to them? The next thing is the argument. How is it coming out? Once you're listening to them, you need to classify that argument. Is it pride? Is it self-interest? Is it vengeance? Or do we have some cultural differences that we need to sort out? You need to be able to categorize that. Once you're able to do that, now you can move, accordingly with that person. But sometimes if pride is getting in the way, trust me, you're not gonna go nowhere. Let's say if you have an argument with your wife and things are not being solved, most likely, as the Bible says, there's a pride involved. Or there's a selfishness involved. That the person wants it's me, me, me. Or there's some kind of vengeance. The person is talking just to make you feel bad or to scourge you with them with their speech. Or it could be a cultural differences. You simply don't understand the person because they have a different culture on how they're raised. Now, is there any question or any comment, anything that need to be clarified? I want to hear you, brothers. And or if not, what do you think of the lesson and what have you learned from that lesson?
I think this is a very good lesson. The importance of knowing how to communicate, being able to understand others' point of view, and differences obviously can make it hard to understand each other, and also looking at someone else's angle when they're coming and talking to you. If you can read their mind and you try to understand their spirit, you would see whether they're out there looking for vengeance, if they're out there looking for conflict, or if they're out there looking for resolution. Not everybody come to and talk to, they're really looking to have a conversation. They already have in their mind what they want, and it's already set, right? And that's it. There's no going around it. So if by just them talking to you, is maybe they're trying to show what they already believe. Like, for example, if someone believes he's smarter than you, or he believes he's richer than you, like, you're not gonna convince them that they're not. They just come to show you. So that conversation, no matter what you do or say, you can convince them otherwise, unless you can show them you're richer than them. So it's a very good lesson, I think, overall.
Khan, all praises. Anyone else?
This is a very good lesson because what happened though, I'm glad when other people bring other point of view because we're people that full of talent. Because me, people sometimes take me crazy when I say, okay, these people talking to me, I feel like he's angry. You wanna say something, but some people say, why you always trying to think what people say? I say, yeah, that's why he come to me. He come like, he don't want to have a conversation. He's hungry. I don't know what I did, but sometimes I'm trying to find out what I did to actually solve the problem. And there's a lot of people I met, they kind of like get along with me because I'm glad the minister bring out that lesson. So now I know for sure when people come to me, and now I have a way to approach them now, because I didn't. I was just feeling they approach me. This is not either they're hungry or they wanna low me down or they do that. Now I have a perfect way to approach them. Say, okay, this is what you mean, da da da. But last time that happened to me at the job, there is a guy. He was talking to me. He was saying certain word trying to put me down, and I tell him, no, you don't have to do that, man. If I did something to you, you can tell me that as a man I did something to you. I will apologize. And after a couple agreement, ladies got down and he said, all right, you see, you a different Haitian, man, because all of those Haitian, they try to say, okay, those people are bad people, those people are smoking, they think we're dirty, they think we're bad. I said, but what happened? Because all those people telling them lower them down. So I work with him. So he angry. He try to put he try to put the anger on me. And the way I talk to him, he say I'm different. So I'm glad when I met different people, the way they talk, the way they what you call that, the way they talk, the way they act, I can for sure find way to actually talk to them.
Khan, and that what you said is crucial, and that's a good of everyday life situation.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely a good class because it sets you back to evaluate everything when you're actually speaking to someone, so you can actually see how they're coming at you or whatnot to see if it's actually animosity or just a misunderstanding. So definitely a very good class.
all praises, all praises.
If I can add something that I think is very important. Brother Jack, mute for a second. A lot of times we don't realize silence is one of those key things you can use to your advantage. Because sometimes someone will come to you, they're angry, or they're ready for confrontation. Their communication is trying to get you to say the wrong thing so they can punch you, or they're trying to belittle you, whatever the case is. But you just pause and wait for a second and you look at them. As you're looking at them, you try to read them. And it's something that's both scary to them, but also mysterious to them, which kind of frees their entire system and their entire brain because they just don't know what you're thinking. So not every time someone is lashing out or going crazy that you have to respond. I had that experience that one time. I was under the light, and it was my time to make it right. Well, it wasn't time to make it right yet. We had a red light, but this guy was on my left, which means he's supposed to be going straight, and he was going crazy because he needed to make it right. So he just kept honking and honking. He was mad, and I had my window rolled up. I never rolled it down, and I could see he was cursing, but I feel like I kept looking at him. I didn't do anything, didn't say anything. Then after that, he put his hands together, like when you're praying, he put his hands together, almost as if he's saying sorry to me. Like, sometimes you just have to stand still and wait. Be very patient and see how they react. As a matter of fact, especially if you feel like any conversation is about to get heated, I have this thing. It's called a 30-second silence. You go silent for 30 seconds and just look at the person straight in the eyes. Almost 100% likely everything will be okay right after that.
Khan. And guys, and as the Most High say, we are gods, right? And how Proverbs put it, it says, every man is right in his own eyes, but the Most High with the Spirit. So if we become like the Most High, what we're gonna do, brothers? We're gonna with the Spirit. We're gonna find out What is behind that talk? So it's time for us to hearing what's being said and looking at what's behind what's being said. And I'm really glad Minister O'Connor brought some out. The minute the guy start talking, Minister O'Connor said, if I did something, let me know. I'll apologize. And you caught him off guard because he didn't think you would read him. He didn't think that you would know what's behind the intention. And he's like, oh, dang, snap. He caught me. Because you call out the spirit. You didn't call out what he's saying because you a spiritual man. You see way further than what's being said. And you caught him out. And it's a great thing. Let's say if someone is talking out of pride, you're like, brother, listen, I do understand we need to have a conversation, but I see there's a lot of pride in there. Where is that coming from? We cannot have a conversation where pride is involved. Or, brother, I noticed that your words are bitter. Did I do something? Why is it you talking that way? Or, brother, like, I do understand you need to have interest in some things, but I do need you to listen to me too, because yes, we all have interest, but Philippians said we have to look to each other's interest. So now this is where you caught them off guard. You're like, now, brothers, this go deeper than communication. It's not just communication. It's you being able to read that person's spirit. And when you do that, you'll see their pause. They're like, snap, they got me. Anyone else?
And there's something you said that's very important when it comes to different culture. You know, when it comes to different culture, your joke might not funny for him. His joke might not funny because that happens a lot. There is a lot of people actually that give me respect at their job because I understand there's different culture, because there's certain thing I'm not gonna say to them is offensive. Just like I'm not gonna say Jamaican food, Asian food is the best. I'm not, because if a Jamaican is eating, automatically you think you say his food is not good. And also, there's certain native thing you don't say. Like I know a lot of a Haitian like to say bam bam clack sometimes when they see a Jamaican. I don't say those things because when another nation or when another tribe say the way they say certain thing is offensive to them. That's why I stay neutral. Sometimes they say, yo man, you a different Haitian. I say no, I'm not. Nah. Sometimes that's when I say I'm not Haitian. I'm a Levi or I'm an Israelite, and they wanna fight now. And I start teaching them. But they all the Haitian at their job, they always want to put the other nation down. And I say, and when the other nation put them down, they mad. I say, it's vice versa. You cannot put them down. You gotta, if you want respect, you gotta give them respect also.
That's a big insight, and this go along with relationship. If you wanna deal with a Jamaican woman, Haitian woman, or Judah woman, Levi, and us as a nation coming together, you'll be surprised. So many people, different people come, and you'll give a joke and be that's really offensive. And at that time, don't be like, oh man, it's just a joke. To you, it's a joke, but to them, it's really offensive. So, in those cultural differences. This takes humility for you to back down and be like, okay, I didn't know it was offensive. Like people sometimes they call Haitian papi. Like if you call me papi, that's offensive to me. But people may not know. Like you would say those things and Haitians would not be happy about it. To you it's a joke or whatever, but it's not. So cultural differences make a big thing for communication for us to really understand each other, and that goes in marriages. And a lot of time, and this is why even the most I say marry your own tribe. We see that in the book of Tobit. Because why? Because those little differences and nuances will rise up and cause problem. So guys, again, the four things you need to be mindful of is pride, self-interest, vengeance, and cultural differences. So if we focus on those things, and again, remember, all communication is about needs and rights. So if someone is talking to you, especially your wife, the first question you need to ask is, what does she want? And try to write them down. Maybe that'll give you understanding of what's going on. Because a lot of time we'll say women talk a lot, but if we don't take our time to know what they want or what offend them, that's where we're going rights. What rights you impede, then you'll never find a solution to your situation. So anything else that have to be said, or we are good?
I think we are good right now for now.
All praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So we have that live online. So we pray that you guys give it a thumbs up. I don't see no comments, brothers. Give comments. When you give comments and like it online, it allows YouTube to refer to more people, and more people means more brothers, more men are being enlightened with this knowledge. So let's not put the light under the table, but let's put it on high so the whole world can be lightened up. All praise be to the Most High Ba'ashem Yahushai. To our online viewers, shalom, and we'll talk real quick with you, brothers, before you leave. All right, we are officially offline, brothers.